Alright, welcome guys. So there's still some confusion over whether GALA token is going to be deflationary or not and how the new tokenomics works. And obviously this matters a lot for price and the token going forward. So we'll have a look over the old tokenomics and compare it to the new tokenomics and discuss how and when this might be deflationary. Alright, let's get stuck in. So if we look here at the old GALA tokenomics, so we'll take last year for example. The max supply is always going to be 50 billion, the total supply is about 35 to 40 billion, we'll just use this number, and the circulating supply was 7 billion. And if you see here, this is the founder node holders. They emit new GALA into the ecosystem, so they get rewards, they get rewarded in GALA, and this is at a controlled rate, and it's got a yearly halving. So I think last year it was about 6 billion for the year, and I think half went to the node holders and half went to GALA games, so I think it was about 3 billion to the node holders, but whatever number it is, that rate's controlled, and then the year after it'll be half that, and that goes into the supply, the circulating supply there, and the total supply. So if we go to 2023, by the end of the year, this might be 10 billion and 40 billion. So you can see the supply will go up, and then if we go to 2030, for example, this might be in a place where the circulating supply is nearly capped out, and there's two problems with this. The rewards pool that GALA can reward the node holders with has nearly run out, and by this point their emissions are very low because it's just been halved for the last kind of 10 years, and so that's not good for the ecosystem, and neither is a large supply. It's not always a bad thing, but obviously we'd prefer the supply to be a bit lower because that'll help with the price. So if we go to the new GALA tokenomics, we can see here they've added a burn mechanism and this re-adding to the node holder pool of available GALA that can possibly be minted. So every time there's a purchase made in GALA or eventually a gas fee on their blockchain, that'll be burnt and that'll come out of the supply, the circulating supply, and even the total supply, so that'll all go down. Meanwhile, the emission rate is still the same for this particular year. Now, if there's an absurd amount of purchases and the circulating supply has gone down by 1 billion or 2 billion or 3 billion, maybe then that amount of pressure here will increase the emission rate. But I think the emission rate will stay the same for at least a year or two until that yearly halving really cuts down the emission rate, and then they can start increasing it again. But by that stage, I think it'll be fairly deflationary, or there'll be a lot of purchases. And even when they start increasing this, it'll probably be at the same time that, you know, GALA's releasing more of their 50, 60 plus games that have got planned. So all these, you know, the demand for GALA purchases will go up, and it'll still remain deflationary potentially. But then you might hit one year, say 2025, where they've increased emissions rate relative to the year before, and maybe it was a bad year for NFT purchases. So maybe in that year it might be slightly inflationary, and then it'll readjust, and maybe 2026 is a bigger year. We had a big release of maybe Miranda's by then, and purchases go up and it becomes deflationary again. So we can see here in this example, this in the previous tokenomics, this was I think 10 billion. So although in 2023 in this example the circulating supply has gone up by 1 billion, it's gone up by less than what it would have without this mechanism. So it's still inflationary, but it still had a disinflationary, or it's decreased the rate of inflation. So at minimum it'll decrease the rate of inflation, at best it'll make it deflationary. But that'll be purely reliant on how much purchases happen. Either scenario, it's a good thing. So if we go to 2030, you know, there's a lot of variables here, but we can imagine the circulating supply is still sitting around 8 to 15 billion. And the problem of the founder nodes running out of rewards to give them has been solved, and there's plenty of GALA being burnt, and the equal number being added into this pool here. So lower supply and happier founder node holders that are still running their nodes. And I like that they've given themselves the flexibility to change the submissions, and it may be on a maths equation, so maybe this adjusts proportionally to how much is burnt. But it'll always allow for deflation, I'd imagine. So that's their goal. So that's the way I see it happening, and I think maybe not this year we see it being deflationary, unless they burn 100% of the purchase of this recent mobile studio. Maybe that'll make it deflationary this year. But otherwise, if that doesn't happen, I would see it happening in 2024. But yeah, lots of variables. There's also other ways that GALA can be put into the circulating supply, so rewards and things like that. So there's lots of other variables, but overall, I think 2024 it'll be kind of officially deflationary. Okay, so in summary, at worst, this reduces the inflation rate. At best, it'll make it deflationary, and either way, it's going to be good for supply and good for the founder node holders, and maybe GALA will get a bit of a tax write-off as well. So it's a win-win-win in my books, and I'm pretty happy with it. If you're happy with all that information and you learned something, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know if I got anything wrong. I'm sure I got some of the maths and the numbers wrong, but I think they all kind of represent what I wanted to show anyway. So I will be doing more of this kind of content, especially as we wait for these games to come out. But as these games come out, I will be doing more kind of competitive gaming on these Web3 games, and kind of showing you guys how to maybe be a bit more competitive in some of these earnings if it's required. So if any of that sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.